Hello, everyone, and welcome to From Surviving to Thriving, where we don't just talk about the pretty parts of business. We talk about the struggles and all of the things in between. My name is Robin Carr. I'm an award-winning international keynote speaker, author, coach, and the founder of Thrive Unapologetically. And today I am so excited to have with me my colleague and my friend, Wendy. So Wendy is the founder of Up Level Wellness, a coaching practice that helps high achieving people stop the yo-yo cycle with their health and become someone who lives healthy by default. She's a mom of two active boys, which is part of what led her to building her business for people who seemingly have it all in life, but are struggling with their health and prioritizing time for themselves. So, Wendy, thank you so very much for being here with us today. I am so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Robin. I'm looking forward to chatting today.
Yeah, so share a little bit about you and your boys and kind of, you mentioned in your bio, but um, what kind of helped you have that inspiration to get started and especially in the help industry? That's so important.
Well, it really all started for me. Well, it started long before I realized it had started, but my awakening kind of happened almost exactly 6 years ago, because it was when I was pregnant with my second son, and he just turned six a couple months ago, and I was physically miserable during that pregnancy, because I wasn't moving, I wasn't eating well, I was not taking care of myself physically at all. And I thought that I just needed to get some things in line in terms of my physical health. I thought I needed to lose some weight, which I definitely did. But what really impacted me was when I realized that it was really about more than just my weight. There was a whole lot of growth that needed to happen, in terms of how I was prioritizing myself, how I was showing up, how I was living my life, because I was very much on autopilot. I had this successful job. I was in a global job. I was traveling to Europe all the time. I had a boss that basically would have done anything to keep me. I was doing all the things. I had two kids. I had the house. And I looked like I really had it all together. But I felt very lost. I was feeling like I didn't really was not living out my purpose anymore. And I couldn't figure out how to go forward. And I thought that was totally unrelated to my physical health. I thought that they were completely separate things. But what I finally realized was it was all related, and it was all came down to the fact that I was not living my life with any intention. I was doing exactly what you say. I was just surviving from day to day, because I didn't have any real purpose or direction in my life. I was just going with whatever was coming at me. And I was doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to do, but not really spending any time thinking about what do I really want to do? How do I really want my life to look? And how do I want my kids' life to look?
Mhm.
Because it really was not the direction that we were on at all.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I feel like there's a lot of people that that's the situation for, right? Like, I feel like it's not uncommon that people go to school and then they have a family and they're like, okay, I'm just doing this life thing, but they're not very intentional about it, for the most part. So you said you're awakening and it was right after your son, was born. So walk us through a little bit about what that looked like. Like, how'd you go from, okay, this is life, it's just kind of happening to, no, I want to take control of my life. I want to be intentional. Like, what's that shift like?
Well, it came for me about a month into my weight loss journey, because the program that I was doing came with some resources, and some mindset tools to help me dig in a little bit further. And I was very reluctant to do that. And I kept telling my coaches, no, I don't need to read the book. I don't have time to read the book. I have a new baby, and I'm on maternity leave, and my kids here, and all these things are happening. I don't have time to read. Are you crazy? But I finally did. And it started with a self assessment that was all around our healthy body, our healthy mind, and healthy finances. And I realized I really was not doing as well as I thought I was, um, which was the first step of being aware, right? So then I was aware. And then it was like, well, now what in the world do I do about this? Um, and I talked with my coach. We had a long conversation, and I decided the first step that I was going to take was going to be to start getting up in the morning, prior to my very early rising children getting up, because they just kept getting, they're little and they would get up and then we would just like slug through the first hour or two of the day trying to get to a reasonable time to be awake. But I decided that it was important that I started my day with some more intention. So I started by getting up 15 minutes earlier than when I thought they were going to get up, and spending a little bit of time doing some devotions, spending a little quiet time, having some hot coffee. Um, and then I just kind of kept doing a little bit more at a time. And so that gave me enough space to start a pattern of being a little bit more intentional and starting my day with, how do I really want to show up? Um, and then things really kept coming from that. Um, and I'll never forget a moment that my husband and I had in our kitchen. And I don't even remember how old my kids were, but they were little. And we were going through that morning chaos that every family with kids has, when the kids are cranky and you're trying to get them breakfast and you're trying to get out the door and you're trying to do your thing. And my husband is trying to do his thing. And we were trying to get all the things done. And everybody is totally on edge. And the kids are crying and you're fighting with your spouse. And it's just a mess. And he said, and I don't blame him for this, because this is like how our society functions right now. But he said, we just have to get through this. We just have to survive. Like everybody says, these are the hardest years of their life. We just have to get through it. And then we'll be able to, it'll be better. And I remember just thinking, no, like hard stop, no. I refuse to accept that this is how our life is and that this is how we're going to get through our kids' childhood. Like, I'm not going to just get through these formidable years of their life because we're trying to do all these things without any real intention. And I don't know that we solved everything at that point. Like, there's lots and lots of things that we're still working on, but I do think that was a big pivotal moment for both of us, because we said, no, we're not going to just accept that this is hard and there's nothing we can do about it. And I think that was a really turning point for us to say, okay, what can we do about it? And what are some of the small things that we can take so that at least we're going in the right direction?
Thank you so much for sharing that. I don't have children, but I can only imagine, and I have experienced those days even without children. So
Yeah.
but there really does come that moment when you're like, no, like that's not good enough. Like that's not a good enough answer. And I can't imagine being a mom and have making the choice like, okay, I'm just going to be on autopilot to like survive until my children are what, 6, 8, 12? Like there's not a number. And
Right.
I feel like that like the end doesn't actually exist. Like my sister-in-law, she has 3 kids. She's a single mom. And if she had been waiting for that moment, like she would still be waiting. And her oldest daughter is 16. So anyways, I love that you guys had that awareness. And also, um, you mentioned something that actually spoke to me personally, and that was the getting up just 15 minutes earlier.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I fall short. Hi, my name's Robin. I'm not perfect. Um, but like I always am like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna get up at 5. I'm gonna do this because my first appointment's not till 7:30, and then that gives me time to do it. And then before you know it, I'm like, okay, today's Wednesday. I woke up at 5 the past 2 days. Like I don't actually have to do that, and I can talk myself right out of it.
Mhm.
But like 15 minutes is not that's not a lot, you
Yeah.
know. I just recently started moving my clock back just a little bit every day. And I'm actually waking up before my alarm, which is much better. But no, I totally get it. So you're in this chaos with your family a little bit. You start working on that, and then you have this awareness. You start to shift and work on yourself. So when does that start to, hey, I want better for my family and let me create a business around it? And like you took your health journey, it sounds like, and then you just made a business. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, and I'd like to tell you that it was that intentional, but I don't really think that it happened in that much of a direct line.
Okay.
Um, I really think that I think that there was a reason, and none of these things are coincidences, right? Like, I
Mhm.
know that there was a reason that I was feeling very lost in my career at the same time that I had this personal awakening. And so, what ended up happening was I said, other people were saying, oh my gosh, you're losing so much weight. You look amazing. What are you doing? I need help. And so, I thought this was really weird for me to do. And I thought, oh, this has absolutely nothing to do with my life and my training and my career. But okay, fine. I guess I'll try to do this because I knew that I needed community. And so that could help me to surround myself with other people who were doing in a similar place. And I knew that I was not alone in feeling the way I did, that I was doing well in all these parts of my life, but still feeling really lost and kind of rudderless. And a lot of times our physical self is the thing that's finally the straw that breaks the camel's back. That's like, okay, fine, I will do something about this. I may not do something about how stressed out I am every day or how, I'm living in this cycle of complete overwhelm, but I'll do something about the fact that my pants don't fit anymore.
Right. So
And
true.
so it really started for me as a physical journey, and I just kept seeing this pattern of other women, especially who were in a similar place. um, and then really what happened over time was I realized, okay, there are a lot of people who are lost in this place and they are not taking care of themselves physically. And for me, it became such an awakening to, when I get this part of my life under control, it just released so much brain space for me. Like it opened up so much capacity because I was no longer, oh my gosh, I can't make it to the gym this week. It's so hard. I don't have time for that. Oh, what am I going to eat? Because I don't even know what to feed my kids and I feel terrible. Like we spend a lot of time and energy with these thoughts in our head that are related to how are we fueling our body? How are we moving? And there's so much shame that especially women that we waste energy on around our physical health. And
Mhm.
so what I realized was if we can release that for people, then it can open up a lot more capacity in their life to be able to do so many other things. I talked to a woman a few weeks ago, and she's like the epitome of a busy mom. She's super successful in her career. She's got two boys that she's doing all the things for them. And she said to me, I just don't want to think about food anymore. And I'm like, I get you. Like, I totally understand what she means when she says that because I'm tired of like thinking about the stuff. I just want that part of my life to be handled. So
Mhm.
that's really where the root of our business was born because I realized, our tagline is empower health, ignite life.
Mhm.
Because for me, anyway, it was like, okay, once this part was under control and once I built the habits that just became part of who I was, so many other things in my life could open up for me. My ability to create relationships with other people, create community, go to church more regularly and work on that. And even just the idea of being open to creating a different business is these different things wouldn't have ever happened if I was staying stuck in this reactive type of life cycle, both
Mhm.
physically and mentally.
Yeah, that is so many gems. I was just like, keep talking. You're right. No, but so I'm gonna challenge you a little bit. I didn't tell you that I was gonna do this, but we'll
That's
see
okay.
how it goes out. So, in your opinion, in my opinion, you are an expert in your field, as well as a professional. So, chicken or egg, is it physical and then all of the internal, or the internal kind of leads to the physical, or sometimes both? Does it depend on the individual journey?
I think it's a great question, and it's very much related to how we practice and how we support people because I really believe that a lot of times, and this isn't everybody, but a lot of
Hmm.
times that final straw that breaks the camel's back is physical.
Hmm.
So sometimes we need to start with let's get the one thing moving in the right direction, whether that's weight loss or whether it's movement or whatever it is. There's probably something that you think, if I can just do this, that's going to help me tackle all the things. So sometimes we have to start with people there, but that's really just to start where they think, this is where I am, this is what I need. I need a different eating plan. I need a different exercise plan. Well, maybe,
Hmm.
but if you really want that to stick, we have to start digging into what is your identity around your health? What is your identity around your weight? How do we build this? Because stuffing another plan on top of a dysregulated nervous system, on top of a identity who feels like I always quit after this and I'm just really starting one more thing that I'm probably going to fail at, those things are not, they might work for a little while, but they're not going to work for the long term. So we meet our clients where they are, and we'll give them whatever it is, the thing that they feel like they need most in order to start the progress, whether that's physical or a plan or whatever. But our ultimate goal is to awaken them to, okay, now we have to work on how do we view these parts of our life? What is our identity around our health? What are the patterns that we've repeated over and over again? I was just on a coaching call today where one of our clients said that it's hereditary in her family that she overreacts to things and gets really upset and blows up when something bad happens. Okay, so that is not a genetic condition.
No.
It very much is likely a repeated behavior that has been practiced in your family for potentially generations. But that has absolutely nothing to do with your genetics, which means you absolutely can change that pattern and you can break that chain for yourself and for your family. But first, we have to recognize that this is something that we can change. And this is, even if it's part of who we are now, it doesn't have to be part of who we continue to be. So that same person said, I have a bad habit of, when I'm stressed, I eat Reese's peanut butters and I drink Sprite. My mom used to tell me all the time, she knew that I was stressed when I did these things. Okay, so that's clearly a learned behavior that was reinforced by her mother. And now she's in her 40s and she's still repeating that pattern because she believes that's who she is. It doesn't have to be who she is anymore. And we can shift that so that she no longer uses that as her coping mechanism, and we can do something different. So if somebody is really open to the fact that they're like, I have these patterns and I'm just ready to break them, what do I need to do differently? Then yes, we can start on the mindset and the mental part first. But most of the time, people are like, my jeans don't fit anymore. I just can't handle this. Give me a different nutrition plan.
Yeah, I've been there. I get that. Before I even understood mindset, having a choice, being able to decide that this is no longer who you are or doesn't have to be, totally feel that.
Yeah.
And that is amazing because I've told you before and I'll tell you again so that everybody can hear it. But what you do is just so beautiful because I have heard and worked with so many coaches who they're either like drill sergeants in the gym, blah, 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 or they're, well, you choose to go to the gym, you choose to either sit on the sofa, like whatever. But I've never, until I met you, heard both. And I just love it. I just think it's so important because I imagine most of your clients, if I may, probably don't even know what an identity is.
Yeah.
They probably don't even know what these operating systems are. They probably are like, I mean, when the first example that you gave, all I can think about is like Italians. I've heard my whole life, oh, Italians are hot-headed, like this is how they do things. And I'm like, not actually though. They don't have to. Not all of them are that way. So it's so important. And so what does that look like as far as for somebody who might want to work with you or your team? Like, do they just call you and say, I don't know what my problem is, but this like my jeans don't fit, or maybe I want to lose 30 pounds, or
Mhm.
um do they just reach out to you with like any of those kinds of problems, questions, or and like what's the route for them? Like, is it, I don't know. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So oftentimes, people will raise their hand that say, okay, I'm ready to try something different. And a lot of times it is, you know, I'm frustrated because I can't lose weight, or, I feel like I've tried all the things and I just can't figure this out. We have a Facebook group and it's called From Stuck to Strong, which kind of goes very much in line with your message. And that's where we see a lot of people. They just feel stuck. They don't know what to do, and they can't figure out what's their next best step. Or they think they know what to do and they don't understand why they can't just do it. Like they're like, I know what to do. People tell us this all the time. I know what to do. I just need to do it. Okay. Well, if that was working for you, wouldn't you have conquered this part of your life by now? So our first step is, somebody will raise their hand and they'll say, yeah, I feel stuck and I don't know what to do next. And insert whatever the problem is. And then we'll get on a call with them and we'll just learn, where are they? What do they feel like the real struggle is? And then the great thing about our group and the thing that I'm really proud of with the team that we've built is we have people that specialize in different things. So we have a couple of nutrition coaches, we have couple of personal trainers, we have a board certified health and wellness coach who's also certified in breath work and EFT and yoga. And so we can meet people wherever they are because we have people with different specialties. So another great example is, there's a woman she's a stay-at-home mom and she's very aware of a lot of these things, but she's like, I just can't do this on my own. I just can't figure it out. She's like, yeah, I'd love to lose 10 pounds, but really more importantly, I want to be able to get this chaos under control in my life because I know once I do that, the 10 pounds will come off because I'll be able to have the capacity to do the things to release that. So sometimes it's hard to put into words a little bit of like what it is or who we help because it can be so different based on the person. But at the end of the day, it's somebody that is likely really successful in many parts of their life, but they just feel stuck when it comes to their physical health and they're ready to understand what a different way looks like. And then we have lots of options, whether it's, one-on-one options, or we have a really intensive 90-day transformational program that we can take them through. We have, community type options. So we have a lot of different ways that we can work with people because people also don't necessarily, they're not always at the same place. Maybe they're just ready to kind of toe dip and they're like, I really want to check you guys out and I want to understand what you're offering. Or maybe they're ready to go all in and say, yep, I'm done. I'm ready to fix this for the last time. Let's do it.
I love that. And I honestly, I mean, I've been following you for a while. I didn't know that you had all of those like certified people on your team. That's amazing because that makes you so much more credible and it's not just one component. And I love that. That that's amazing. I learn something new every day. So, um, knowing you, I know that this has changed your whole life. Like it's changed the way that you do everything. I imagine it's probably changed your relationship with your husband, yourself, your kids, everything. But for somebody who's stuck right now, who's maybe a little nervous to take the leap, maybe they're like, I don't know, Robin, I don't know, Wendy, like, sure.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say to them? Like, what's been the biggest thing, like life changer for you that you're like, it's worth it. Just take the jump.
I think what I would say to them is allow yourself a little bit of time and space to dream about what you would love that portion of your life to look like. So whatever it is that you feel stuck in, maybe it's your health, maybe it's something else, maybe it's your career, maybe it's, your relationship with your spouse, whatever it is, allow yourself some time to say, what would I really want this part of my life to be? And how would I really love, what is the person that I want to be in this area? And so, and okay, this is the world we're in now. We're gonna talk with our friend Chat GPT. And if you can use the voice chat, it's even better because you can just like do a brain dump and do a brain dump with Chat GPT or whatever your choice AI is and just talk to it and say, this is the person that I would love to be in this area. And say, this is how I would love to show up every day. This is how I would love to move my body. This is how I would love to feel at work. This is how I would love this, whatever it is. Talk to it until you get all the parts out of what you really would like that to look like. And then ask it to name that identity for you. And then take a screenshot of it, print it out, put it somewhere where you're going to see it in your bathroom mirror, on your phone backdrop, on your computer, wherever it is. Because if you can envision the person that you would like to be in that area of your life, then you're going to be more likely to start taking votes to become that type of person. If you can picture yourself as somebody that prioritizes movement in their day, for example, this is just who I am. I show up or I walk, between meetings around the house every day. You can start to picture yourself and then you just start to make little bit of votes every single day for that person that you want to be because it will get a little bit easier at a time. And just start making votes for that person and then eventually you will get there. And it may take a while, but as you start to build that momentum, it will start to become easier to see yourself as that person who does those things.
I love it. I also love that I'm not the only one that's like, yeah, use ChatGPT and do all these things and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I always, I don't do this often, but I trust you enough to do this. So I'm going to open it up. If there's anything else that you feel like that we didn't touch on, or that maybe you're like, hey, this is just on my heart and I want to say this, the floor is yours, whatever you want to say.
I would just say that I love your platform and I love your idea of surviving to thriving because I do really feel like as part of all of this, I have been called to help people understand that they're not meant to just slug through their life and they're not meant to just survive all of these things. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be easy, but we are not meant to be living life completely void of joy and completely just slugging it out, grinding it out every single day. Now, I believe it takes a lot of courage to say, I'm not going to live that way anymore. I'm
Mhm.
going to go against what society says because I feel like we live in a world right now where we use busy as a badge of honor. We all, the harder you work, the more successful you'll be. And we just have to grind it out all the time. I don't believe that's how we were meant to live. And I don't believe that that's how most of us want to live. But unfortunately, it's the world we live in. So that's all what we see. And everybody lives like that. So it takes a lot more guts and courage to step out and say, I'm not going to do this anymore than it does to just keep going with the flow because the flow is not in a very positive direction. So I would just encourage, people to think about like, is there a place in my life where I want to do it differently? And it doesn't matter what everybody around you looks like in that area because chances are they are really not thriving either. They are just surviving and it takes a lot of courage to say I'm just not going to do that anymore. So don't be afraid to do that because I think it's really important.
I love it. Thank you so much. That took the words right out of my mouth. That's why I'm here. So, yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. This has been so insightful and just absolutely amazing. And for everybody else out there, if you are stuck in the middle right now, I want you to remember that you are not behind, you are becoming. And that is what thriving really looks like. Bye, y'all.